So at this time, I'd like to recognize the ranking member, my friend Mr. Barr, for 5 minutes for an opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate you holding today's hearing, and I thank you to all of our witnesses as well for appearing today. The municipal bond market provides a reliable source of capital for municipalities to finance their long-term growth and a stable avenue for investors to put their money to work for the public good. The muni market is made up of a diverse group of over 55,000 issuers, ranging from state and local governments to local transportation authorities. Of the more than $3.7 trillion of municipal debt in the market, over 50% is held by individuals, with the remaining split between banks, mutual funds, insurance companies, and other investors. The muni market is a strong and reliable way for issuers to finance their operations. During the pandemic, the muni market experienced significant volatility and liquidity challenges. Widespread lockdowns, stay-at-home orders, and government-mandated business closures weighed on the economic well-being of states and localities as taxes, tourism, and other revenue sources declined. To respond to this challenge, Congress directed the Federal Reserve to establish the Municipal Liquidity Facility, and shortly after the establishment of this facility, the market normalized. The muni taxable and tax-exempt markets are now performing well after the initial shock of the pandemic. The quick stabilization of the muni market is evidence of the success of the Municipal Liquidity Facility. Some of my colleagues have said that the MLF should be evaluated on its take-up rate, suggesting the fact that only 2 issuers utilized the facility was somehow indicative of its failure. But I believe the opposite. The mere existence of the facility served as a backstop that allowed the private market to function properly in uncertain times. I think we can all agree that our nation's infrastructure needs improvement. We must repair, improve, and expand existing infrastructure such as roads and bridges, and invest in infrastructure for future generations such as rural broadband to ensure an equitable path toward the future of work and education. The question then becomes, how do we achieve our shared goals of strong, comprehensive, and resilient infrastructure? Municipal bonds are a key funding source for state and local governments to finance long-term infrastructure improvement plans. As Congress and the administration begin a dialogue on how best to improve our roads, bridges, and connectivity, we should assess all of the available options to pay for it. Significant tax increases would reverse the economic prosperity and growth realized over the last few years since the passage of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. It would certainly reduce wages and it would compromise American economic competitiveness. Instead, we should look for ways to incentivize and mobilize private capital. The muni bond market provides a mutually beneficial avenue to match investors seeking stable long-term returns with issuers seeking to improve their roads, bridges, and schools. I hope to use this hearing to investigate ways that Congress can improve the municipal bond market, both for issuers and investors. There are bipartisan proposals, such as reinstating advanced refunding for municipal bonds, that could expand access to needed capital for issuers and improve investors' access to municipal paper. I also look forward to learning more about the ratings process for municipal bonds. Bond ratings are an important factor that determine the interest cost of a security and inform investors' appetite for risk. Last Congress, I worked on a bipartisan basis with my colleague from Pennsylvania, Ms. Dean, to ensure equitable access to the Fed's emergency facilities for issuers, and that issuers were not excluded from the facilities solely based on the SEC-regulated rating agency they chose to work with. This effort was intended to help small businesses find liquidity and provide options for smaller municipalities. I would also emphasize the importance for investors that credit ratings be based solely on the creditworthiness of the issuer and not compromised by non-material information. Credit ratings based on subjective criteria derived from social or other political goals would pose challenges for issuers selling their bonds and may not properly inform the market of the issuer's ability to repay its debt. This hearing will also review a study that showed historically Black colleges and universities paid more to sell their debt compared to their non-HBCU peers. Discrimination in the municipal bond market is illegal, and it should not occur. To the extent that such discrimination exists, Congress, regulators, and market participants should work to ensure it does not persist. I share my friend and colleague, Mr. Green's personal interest in this. I didn't graduate from an HBCU, but I do have the privilege of representing Kentucky State University, and this is an important topic. I look forward to hearing from our witnesses about the important role the municipal bond market plays in our investment ecosystem. And again, I thank the chairman and I yield back.